What's good, guys? So today we're going through side cards for Dragon Link, the best deck of the format by far, especially in the format right now in May. And a lot of these cards you guys have seen, but essentially there's, I believe, three ways to deal with Dragon Link. The first way is hand traps. Each one has their pros and cons. Hand traps, you can use them turn zero. That's the pro. But the thing is, if you draw them as a six card, they're actually dead. The second way to deal with Dragon Link is going second cards you can actually draw as the sixth card that automatically try to deal with the field, or one for two with other cards. And then the third way is trap cards, and trap cards are also good because you could go first and they're usually blowouts, and if you go second, you have to pair them with another trap. But if you do, you could clear the whole field. But I'm gonna go through some of these cards. There's definitely way more than just these cards. I'll give you guys a brief overview of what these cards do, but I'm sure there's a bunch more. These were the ones that stick out to me. But so for hand traps, Droll and Lockbird shuts down you from adding cards to the hand. So if they go to Normal Summon Chamber or Striker Dragon, Droll and Lockbird, you're gonna shut down. They're gonna still be able to combo a little bit, but you're gonna shut down them trying to get to Levy, them trying to add more cards to their hand, because Dragon Link usually tries to add 2 to 3 cards from their deck to their hand. So Droll and Lockbird is definitely good, and it's one of those cards you could use turn zero. But like I said, all these cards that I'm gonna show that are part of the first category are going to be weak at drawing as the sixth card. That's the issue. The next card, Gamma, is a little different. You can draw it as a sixth card, but it might just get negated. That's the issue with Gamma. But Gamma is really strong because it removes the monster, and it's one of the stronger hand traps. This is a high impact hand trap, just like Droll. Removes the monster instead of Valor and Impermanence, when it's just going to negate the effect, and then they could use the monster for a Link Summon, which is always very annoying. That's why I think the low impact hand traps are just so useless right now. Then the next one, Artifact Lancia. Lancia prevents you from getting levied, stops Chaos Space from being able to banish to draw, and stops the baby dragons. And if Chaos Space resolves and they're summoning the baby dragons, you probably lost the game. It's an unfortunate thing, but that Chaos Space is actually insane. I hope that card gets it. An interesting one that I'm sure some of you guys have seen. I don't know if you guys know what this card does. Contact C. I'll go over it. When your opponent normal or special summons a monster, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand to the opponent's field in defense position. This card's controller cannot fusion, synchro, XYZ, or link summon unless this card is used as material. So the interesting thing about this is if you drop it, they might not in their extra deck have something that they can actually go into reliably. They have to either use a lot of materials to make like a Boros sword or something, or they just actually have to pass. I've seen this card actually make people pass with Dragon Link, and this card actually has crossover into the other decks such as Prank Kids. So I think this card is good. It's always nice to have crossover, and most of these hand traps do have crossover. And I recommend only siding cards that have crossover in multiple matchups. It always sucks when you're only siding one card that only is good against one deck. You only have 15 cards in your side, and there's so many different decks, so never do that. But yeah, Contact C, I think it's good. The only issue is once people start catching on, if they want to waste a side deck slot on Beat Cop, this card actually becomes very useless. So that's why I don't recommend siding it unless you really think people aren't playing Beat Cop. I think most people aren't playing Beat Cop because they don't respect this card yet, but who knows. And then the last card, Nibiru, for the turn zero cards. Nibiru is okay. I think you need Nibiru with something else, or if your deck is strong enough and you Nibiru them, maybe even if they end up with a seal and a negate, you can play through. But with Nibiru, if it's just your only hand trap, it's gonna be still rough because Seal's gonna be able to summon something out of deck, and I've seen one Nibiru usually be played through in Dragon Link. That's the unfortunate thing. This is probably the weakest one out of the hand traps I've shown you so far. So the next card, Fantasma. Fantasma kind of works with the other hand traps, but it also segues into the next batch of cards, the option 2 that I mentioned, where you can play, you can try to deal with the Dragon Link field with board breaking cards, and Fantasma can give you a chance to draw 4 cards, put 3 back, and you'll sculpt your hand to have the board breaking cards, such as Alpha or Penkatrops. And Alpha and Penkatrops kind of do the same thing. They are going to trade 1 for 2. You're going to use this one card to trade for 2 of their negates, and I think that's always insane. You're going to summon Alpha, try to attack, Seal has to bounce, or you're going to summon Alpha, try to bounce, it has to get negated, then you could summon it back, attack. Something like that, you're trading, and you want to do something like with board breaking cards, you have to get the max value out of it. You have to 2 for 1 cards. Same thing with Penkatrops. I wish Penguin was at 3 or something, but it's probably too crazy. But they kind of do the same thing. Penguin is a little better because you could slide it into spell and trap decks to deal with floodgates and stuff. But yeah, so Fantasma can help you draw into these two. And the next card, Dark Ruler No More. Everybody knows this card. I've talked about it many times before. When it first dropped, I was just like, this card's crazy. Combo's over, but Combo's still not over. Combo's still the best deck in the format. But Dark Ruler No More is one of those cards Fantasma can draw into and then you can draw it as the 6th card. So yeah, Dark Ruler. I'm not gonna go too much into it. Everybody knows. The issue with Dark Ruler is if the Dragon Link field actually gets their crazy hands, you can play around Dark Ruler. You can go like activate Tidying, target something to bounce, and then just negate it with Hot Red. There's a few ways to play around Dark Ruler, so it's whatever. And then Super Poly. I think Super Poly is probably insane too, just because you can make Super Poly can actually deal with the crazy field. The field with Tidying, Seal, Hot Red, Savage, that's the crazy field that they make. And you could deal with that whole field with this one card just because of the Borreload Furious Dragon. You summon it by getting rid of 2 of the Synchros. Then you can attack Seal. They're going to try to bounce the Seal. And then you target the back row pop. So you essentially got rid of 4 different cards with 2 cards. So yeah, value right there. So these are the cards you can draw as 6 cards, and Fantasma can help with it. Whenever that's the game plan for your deck, these are the cards I would look into. There's a few others, but I think these are the best ones that I can recall. And then the last option is trap cards. This is for trap decks. If I play a trap deck, this is how I have to deal with it. And like, it is not that reliable. I think the second option is probably the most reliable, but depending on your deck, you're gonna have to do what your deck is trying to do. So if your deck can't actually just go Pengatrops, clear 2, and then actually break the field, then you can't do that second option to like focus on trying to break the field like that. You might have to use trap cards to break the field. If your deck is a trap deck, you're gonna have to use trap cards. But the issue with trap cards, like there can be only one Torrential Strike. These cards are crazy. When you go first, it's probably just game if you have this and they don't have like Twin Twister Cosmic hitting these cards. But the issue is when you're going second, they are okay, but they have to be paired together with each other, and they're unsearchable. So that's when the problem arises. Like, you have to have a board clear, such as Torrential, Needle Sealing, there can be only one, with a counter trap. Strike, Divine Judgment, Divine's Wrath, like, whatever. Like, it has to be a counter trap so you can negate whatever tries to stop the board clear. That's why I think this is probably the most unreliable way, but I know some decks do have to play like this. So guys, let me know what you guys think about these side cards. I know it was really quick, but I'm just giving you guys a brief idea. 3 different ways to deal with the Dragon Link field. Depending on your deck, you have to choose which one's better for your deck, and each way is definitely a viable way to deal with Dragon Link for the moment being until it gets hit. But let me know if there's any other cards that I missed out on, but this is just a generic way to deal with Dragon Link because it's the best deck of the format. Let me know more, and guys, stay tuned, subscribe.